Hey, my narcissistic abuse family. Apologize that I wasn't around last week. I have great reasons. We had an awesome blizzard in Jersey. I also was not feeling great, so there's that. Today is Super Bowl Sunday, and I'm squeezing this video in before the chaos erupts in my house. This video is a good one, and I think it applies to all of us, to be honest, and it's to one degree or another. I have a lot of people in mind when I'm making this. I will share a horrifically mortifying story at the end if you want to hang around for that. Because it's my public therapy, right? I am an open book here. But the topic that I'm covering is about trauma and addiction, and we are absolutely familiar with trauma thanks to the narcissistic abusers in our lives when they are our parents. The harm that they do to us is so far reaching, it's insane. It's immeasurable, really. So, okay, I'm talking about addiction and trauma, and it's a natural link. They've discovered this, rediscovered this over and over again. It can range anywhere from just growing up in an environment where you're not nurtured to a very specific recollection, a particular event that caused you this trauma. So it's anything that overwhelms your ability to cope is trauma. And it activates your survival instinct. And that is what leads to addiction. So we know I've talked about this before, that when you are raised in a toxic, narcissistic environment, your amygdala gets stuck in a constant fight or flight response where you're always being threatened, so your sympathetic nervous system is activated and you can't shut it down. That's a physiological response to trauma. Our bodies are designed to do this, but not for extended periods of time. There are, it's estimated like 25 to 75% of people who survive abuse and violent trauma develop issues related to alcohol or drug abuse, accidents, illnesses, natural disasters, 10 to 33%, and a diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder. Like, I've gone over complex post-traumatic stress disorder is the label given to survivors of narcissistic abuse by Pete Walker. That increases the risk of developing alcohol abuse. Female trauma survivors, male and female sex abuse survivors, higher rate of alcohol drug use disorder compared to those that have not. There are habitual behaviors that we develop in response to this trauma to kind of counteract the way that our bodies respond. Addiction is just a part of an extended post-traumatic stress coping mechanism. So it's something that we do. It's with good intention. We're trying to help ourselves, but obviously it ends up being negative because it is to our detriment. So there's several physiological elements, like your amygdala. That's your brain's threat detection center. It can become overactive and engaging in a constant program looking for, seeing, and assessing threats causes you to feel intensely anxious, vulnerable, and fearful. That is the hypervigilant state that a lot of us are forced into thanks to our narcissistic upbringing. As a child in that environment, you kind of fear for your life. I know it sounds silly as an adult, but these are your parents. These are the people that are responsible for your well-being, for your livelihood. And if they are threatening you by putting you down or yelling at you one thing or another, that's a perceived threat to a child. So your brain, your amygdala, is the part of your brain that can become overactive. Your hippocampus, this is your brain's center for processing memories. It can become underactive. So rather than being able to recall the specific memory, it can put you in a loop where you're kind of ruminating. You could experience brain fog for a long term. I've spoken about this also, that our brains protect us. So there's a lot in my growing up that I don't remember. And that's to my advantage. My brain is protecting me. It's awesome. Our bodies are amazing. So your hippocampus, that's the part of your brain that stores memories, and it can become underactive, or it can get stuck in a long-term loop where you experience and continue re-experiencing intrusive, disturbing, uncomfortable recollections. I think in application to myself, as I've been speaking about the Pete Walker research, I know that, I do have specific memories, but when I'm experiencing this overwhelming, horrible trauma response, I'm mostly stuck in a loop with emotional flashbacks. Like my whole body just feels like overwhelmed and crappy. So that's your hippocampus, and it's just stuck in a loop. But I'm talking about the physiological things that drive us to addiction. The cortex is your brain center for executive control. That's interrupted by survival-oriented instincts from deep inside your inner brain. It can overrule logical thinking, diminish cognitive processing, decrease your ability to inhibit behavior. So even when you try to stop yourself from engaging in addictive behavior, you experience an unstoppable urge to engage in it. Addictions often help reduce the sensation of overwhelm that trauma causes. And when addictions are implemented, it's an attempt to manage what becomes unmanageable. It's basically a negative response to our positive survival instinct. Our survival instincts are meant to protect us, but, engaging in addictive behaviors are essentially negative. They're hurting us rather than helping us. And obviously, this is not a conscious decision. We don't wake up and say, hey, I'm going to get addicted to something. It's just your unconscious desire for what all trauma survivors desire, and it's safety and control. So we're looking to create that for ourselves after the adverse events that we've experienced, be it specific or, prolonged over an extended period of time, like with our wicked, toxic families, dysfunctional units, rather. So you can overcome this through cognitive therapeutic approaches like talk therapy and alternative treatments like EFT, emotional freedom tapping, to get rid of stuck energy. You can also do somatic experiencing, like mindfulness, meditation, breath work, yoga. Helps reduce anxiety. I liked this line. Without your consent, trauma changes you, often into a person you'd rather not be. Absolutely. And big surprise. I mean, when you're raised by narcissists or you're in a relationship with a narcissist, it just impacts our self-perceptions and the way that we're wired cognitively. So many ways. So there are 7 addictions are often driven by 7 desires. First one is to stay safe. You can always feel like you're in a danger zone after having experienced this. So you want to get out of it. So you escape through whatever you're addicted to. The second one is to escape memories, unresolved memories that pop up. Addictions can kind of just put you in a different place, obviously, so that you're not ruminating about whatever brought you this distress. The third is to soothe pain. Substances, it's an adrenaline rush from this self-destructive behavior, changes your body chemistry, and it will release endorphins to get rid of the discomfort. And number 4, you want to be in control, because when you're a child and your parent's a narcissist, you have absolutely no control. You're just a victim. You're vulnerable. You're perfect. You're a child. So you're looking to gain control through your addiction. 5th, you want to create a world that you can tolerate the intense feelings brought on by fear and anxiety. Can seem overwhelming, but the addiction makes it feel more manageable. Number 6, you treat yourself the way you feel. This one sucks. It irritates me. So trauma can leave you feeling less than, worthless, hopeless, and damaged. The more self-destructive you behave, the more it feels like you're living in alignment with who you are, who you're told that you are, right? We're told that we're pieces of garbage from our narcissistic parents. So when you engage in addictive behaviors or substance abuse, anything of that nature, you're like, oh yeah, this is me, because this is who they told you are. Number 7 is redefining who you are. Trauma changes your identity all the way down to the core of your beliefs and self-definition. It can seem as if no one understands you. Engaging in addictions can help you create a sense of community by connecting you to others who feel, see, think, and behave as you do. Other fellow addicts, you have a sense of camaraderie. You find people. Addictions can help you revise your self-perception by allowing you to feel stronger, more courageous than the trauma left you. I'm sorry, guys. I just wanted to get all that out of the way. But absolutely, there's an obvious connection between trauma and addiction, substance abuse, hands down. So here's my 2 cents. Here's my element on it. My example, rather. How it was applied to myself. Because I'm the queen of too much information, I am painfully transparent. So to be honest, I was scared of drugs. I mean, when I was in my young, I guess shortly before I was 20, 21, I was drinking like an animal. It was absolutely borderline alcoholism, but thankfully I was able to interrupt that destructive trajectory for myself. But I was finally getting out into the world and establishing my independence, and then I hooked up with that piece of garbage narc that I was engaged to, and oh man, I was drinking like off the charts. And in hindsight now, I attributed it to me escaping the reality of my horrible situation at home. Also, the narc was always trying to put me down, make me feel like crap. So by pickling my liver as I was doing, I was a part of this horrible, I don't know, I guess like community that he basically established. Like, we would go out to clubs all the time, and we would have our people that we were hanging out with. So I guess that made me a part of it by drinking the way I was. So there was that. But I have another horrible example of this. So I'm speaking about addiction and compulsion. I do believe that all human beings have the capacity to become addicted or compulsive about anything. This is the worst story ever. This is public therapy, like, through and through. I'm sharing this with you guys because I love you, and full disclosure here. So when I was in high school, there was this guy that asked me out. I think I was a freshman. I was an underclassman. He was older than me, and he was so cute, and we were like, I was in sports, like I said, I was playing volleyball, and he was like the captain of the football team, and we would go to the weight training days, we would go to the weight training room, and he and I would flirt, whatever, it wasn't love, like young lust, I'm gonna call it, or, your hormones, whatever. So he asked me out, and I was so excited, and he came to pick me up at the narc den, and when he came to pick me up, oh my goodness, you guys. So the enabler henchman, part of the toxic duo, the guy was like a little late to pick me up or something because we planned this like last minute. I think it was like the third time we had gone out, but we just wanted to see each other. When you're young, you're silly, you just want to get together. And he came to pick me up, and the henchman answered the door and proceeded to yell at me and this boy prior to us going out. It was horrible. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. I was like so mortified. I was wildly embarrassed. But that was his goal, right? That's all the toxic duo ever tried to do to me, was to bring me down, make me feel like crap, embarrass me, all that stuff. So this was an example when I guess he succeeded, right? So I went out with the guy, and after that, guy like never wanted to talk to me again. Rightfully so, I totally get it. But here's me, the black sheep, the trailblazer here, the Spitfire, and I wanted so badly to like take control of my life, kind of like I did not want these people to have any say in my social life, in my activities. I was hell-bent that they were not going to impact my social life or my interaction with this guy, whatever, going forward. So I was determined that this guy and I were going to have a relationship or whatever, in spite of the henchman's little outburst that night. That was horrifically embarrassing. Anyway, you guys, so the guy never wanted to go out with me again because the henchman's a moron. And we're kids, like what kid like wants to deal with that? Like somebody else's like nightmare of a parent. So he never wanted to like talk to me again. So I, stage 5 clinger, like was ridiculous about this situation. I ended up pursuing this guy because, like I said, I was just so hell-bent, determined that the toxic duo was not going to have an impact on my social life and ruin my relationships or anything of that nature. It was ridiculous. So in this way, I was acting compulsive, like obsessive, horrible. Stage 5 clingery, like straight up wedding crasher. Like I was a nut job over this guy because I just, like I said, I just wanted to be my own person. I didn't want them to have any impact on my life. It was a terrible situation. And also that coupled with the fact that nobody in my home ever paid me attention, acted like I was worth paying attention to or worthy of acknowledgement. So this guy did, and I was like, oh my God, this is so great. Like somebody actually likes me. So it was a nightmare. It was like the most horrible, embarrassing, one of them, I guess I could say, because let's face it, I've had more than one embarrassing event in my life. But, you know, just becoming compulsive or like addicted to like a relationship or love, that's an easy transition from growing up in this toxicity, from being treated like garbage and then somebody pays you attention. That's another reason. Like I got involved with the narc romantically, like when I was 20, 21, and he treated me like garbage, and that was like familiar to me. I met Joe, my husband, in college, and he legitimately, truly loved me. And we were madly in love with each other, but I broke up with him, as you saw in my video with him. I broke up with him a lot because I just didn't know what to do with that. It was like real, authentic, genuine love. I was like, huh? So I gravitated to the jerk because that's what I thought I deserved. Ugh, this is so long. Anyway, I just wanted to put that all out there. There is an absolute direct correlation between addiction and trauma. So drug addiction, compulsion, any of it absolutely relates. So, all right, you guys, we are bumped, we are bruised. More than anything, we are blessed because we're overcoming this trauma, this garbage, this terrible way that we were treated. We are better people because of it. And we treat other people better because of it. So I love you all, and hopefully I'll be back soon with another video. The current circumstances are really messing on my schedule over here. But, all right, please subscribe. Lets me know that you like my content, what I'm putting out. Drop a comment. Share with anybody you think this applies to. I love you all. Be back soon.